I cannot build a future on another promise. Every month feels less certain than the last.
Then do not build it on me. I will not sell you confidence I cannot prove.
You are signing away everything we planned, including the security we spent years trying to build.
I am signing what the facts require. Pretending otherwise would cost us even more.
You should be fighting harder to keep us, not sitting there like the marriage is already over.
I will fight for what can be repaired. I will not bargain for someone to stay. The debt is mine, and I will face every consequence without asking you to carry it.
That calm will not pay next month, Owen. I need a life that can survive bad news. I need certainty, not another brave idea that might collapse beneath us.
I understand what you need now, even if I cannot become it tonight.
So that is all you have to say after everything we built together?
It is all that remains true. I will not turn fear into another promise. You look like the market buried you, yet you are studying power bills at midnight. It buried my old assumptions. The useful problem survived, and that is enough to begin. I heard the filing wiped out your savings, your office, and every investor who once answered. Not everything. I kept the problem, the research, and enough discipline to test both. What problem could still be worth keeping after it already cost you everything? Small factories waste power they cannot measure, and nobody gives them affordable visibility. You really think two people can measure industrial waste cheaply enough to become useful? Yes, the losses repeat in predictable patterns, and inexpensive sensors can expose them. Knowledge is not hardware, customers, payroll, or a company anyone can trust. No, but it is a clean beginning. We can earn everything else in the right order. You are asking me to leave a stable job for a bankrupt founder and an untested sensor. I am asking for 6 weekends, not blind faith. Test one assumption beside me. What happens when the prototype fails publicly and your bankruptcy becomes the explanation? We fail privately first, document every weakness, and improve before anyone depends on us. You really have nothing left to lose, and somehow that makes you sound more dangerous. It makes the next decision honest, confuse reputation with evidence anymore. Give me 6 weekends, complete access to the number inspirational speeches. You will have all 3 by morning. If the data fails, we stop without excuses. The sensor found 12% idle draw across equipment everyone considered efficient. Then the factory can afford our fee, provided the second test confirms the same pattern. One clean test does not make a company, especially when the sample is this small. It makes the next test necessary. Repetition matters more than one impressive result. Our parts budget ends after 2 units, so every mistake consumes half our runway. Then each unit must answer a specific question before we spend money on another. Accuracy gets us invited, savings makes us useful, and neither matters without trust. Exactly. Trust keeps the sensors installed after the first surprising report reaches management. Who trusts a bankrupt founder with operations data that could expose expensive mistakes? Someone who checks the work instead of the headline. Our evidence has to make that easy. You never defend yourself when people mention the filing like it proves permanent incompetence. The filing is accurate, their conclusion is optional. I would rather demonstrate judgment now. I found a campus facility willing to hear us, but they expect evidence, not ambition. Then we arrive with measured savings, disclosed limitations, and one test they can verify.
Your presentation avoids every fashionable energy slogan investors usually place on the first slide.
Fashion cannot reduce a utility bill. We lead with losses the facility can verify.
Your bankruptcy appears before your technical credentials in every background report I reviewed.
Failure is easier to verify than confidence. Ask whether my decisions changed afterward.
Investors will call that answer evasive because they expect founders to perform certainty.
Customers will call the savings measurable. I would rather satisfy the people using it. The campus test can run without downtime, and we can publish every calibration result internally.
Then why has nobody solved this already if the hardware is inexpensive and the need obvious?
Large systems ignore small factories because enterprise contracts reward scale, not neglected customers.
Neglect can become a market, certainly, but only if service costs remain controlled. What do you need besides borrowed equipment and 2 founders working without salaries?
1 operating site, 30 days, and permission to report every result honestly.
I can authorize a limited facilities trial, but the campus will audit every claim.
Limited is enough if the result is clear. Scrutiny will strengthen whatever survives. And if the result is noisy, inconsistent, or smaller than your first factory test, we publish the weakness internally, repair the method, and refuse to disguise uncertainty.
That answer is expensive, unusually credible, and difficult to maintain when capital arrives.
Credibility costs less before growth. We should establish the habit while the company is small.
30 days, complete internal disclosure, and no promotional use without written approval.
Agreed. The numbers decide our next move, and the campus controls its own story. The campus cut consumption by 14%, and the facilities team confirmed every reading. Now we prove it was repeatable before one strong result becomes a dangerous assumption. Vivian offered enough capital for 18 months, hiring, manufacturing, and national sales. Read the control terms, not the amount. Money is useful only while judgment remains ours. She wants approval rights on every major contract and the power to replace operations leadership. Then she wants certainty we cannot promise, purchased with control we cannot recover. Without that funding, production stays painfully slow, and competitors get time to copy us. Slow ownership beats fast dependence. We can grow at the speed our reliability earns. That sounds personal after Paige left when your first company lost its financial footing. It is practical because I remember dependence. Fear should inform terms, not dictate them. We accept less money, protect operating control, and give up the fastest expansion plan. That choice delays every ambitious milestone, but it preserves our ability to correct mistakes. Our first customer expects 20 units soon, and the current process barely produces 12. Then ambition waits while reliability catches up. A late promise is better than defective hardware. You would rather disappoint investors today than operators after installation. Operators live with every promise we make. Their trust has to outrank our presentation. 7 boards failed the heat cycle overnight, all from the same supplier lot. Quarantine the entire batch, preserve every reading, and assume the remaining boards are compromised. Replacement parts erase this quarter and delay the customer beyond the revised schedule. Shipping defects would erase our reputation. A lost quarter is the cheaper failure. The customer may cancel when we disclose this after already asking them to wait. They should choose with complete information. Trust cannot depend on what we hide. We built this company to reveal hidden waste inside systems people believed were working, so we cannot hide our own. The principle has to survive when disclosure hurts us. I can isolate the faulty supplier lot and redesign the thermal margin by tomorrow. Document the evidence before changing anything. We need the cause, not a convenient theory. You are calmer now than during bankruptcy, even with employees depending on this delivery. Now other people depend on my judgment. Calm is useful only if the decision is correct.
3 profitable quarters make your caution look theatrical to everyone studying the company.
Caution kept one defect from becoming culture. Profit does not make that lesson obsolete.
Your employees describe you as almost impossible to read when pressure reaches the room.
They should read the operating plan, the ownership terms, and the standards we actually enforce.
The next round could make you category leader before larger companies recognize the market.
Only if service quality survives growth. Leadership without reliability would become an expensive illusion.
You still behave like the rent is overdue, despite cash reserves and signed contracts.
Memory is useful when it stays quiet. It reminds me which comforts can disappear. You want meaningful employee equity before selling any of your own secondary shares.
They carried the risk before the valuation existed. Ownership should remember contribution. Are you building a company, Owen, or repairing what bankruptcy and divorce damaged?
A company. History requires no repair, only an honest understanding of what it revealed.
The board will discuss a public offering timeline if the next audit confirms these numbers.
Then they need durable numbers, disciplined service, and governance that works without my personality.
You never ask what your personal stake could become after a successful public offering.
My stake matters after the system works for customers, employees, and shareholders under pressure.
I will support the expanded equity pool before the board approves an offering table.
Then growth can reward the builders, instead of merely increasing the founder's headline value.
Bankers believe the offering can clear $2 billion if current demand survives the roadshow.
That number will change how everyone behaves, so we define acceptable behavior before it arrives. Then we define selling rules, customer commitments, and executive limits before the valuation becomes real.
Markets do not follow founder philosophy unless governance turns that philosophy into enforceable decisions.
Employees need rules for selling vested shares without creating panic or avoidable tax mistakes, and education before those rules take effect. Ownership should create options, not confusion.
Your bankruptcy story will dominate every profile because reporters understand collapse better than engineering.
It belongs in the record, not the strategy. The company must stand on present performance.
A comeback narrative could increase public attention and separate the offering from ordinary industrial technology.
Attention is borrowed. Performance must repay it. We will not turn private loss into marketing. Paige requested access to the ceremony rehearsal and identified herself as your personal guest. Treat her like any approved guest. Her history with me does not change security or protocol.
You expected her to return eventually, surely, once the offering became impossible to ignore.
Expectation is another form of unpaid debt. I stopped carrying it years ago.
5 years, and you still barely react to me, even on the biggest day of your life.
I reacted when the choice still mattered. Time settled what argument could not.
I was scared, Owen, not disloyal. Everything we depended on disappeared at once.
Fear explained your choice. It did not erase it. I accepted both truths long ago.
I watched every milestone after the campus trial, even when reaching out felt impossible.
Watching is different from standing beside someone. Distance does not become loyalty afterward.
You became everything you promised you could become, only more disciplined than I imagined.
I became responsible for what already existed. Success did not rewrite the separation.
We could begin again without debt, panic, or those pressures deciding everything for us.
The pressure revealed what comfort concealed. Removing it would not remove that knowledge.
So success made you too proud to forgive me, despite everything we once shared?
I forgave you before success became relevant. Forgiveness ended anger, not incompatibility.
Then why refuse one honest second chance when neither of us is the same person?
Because change does not guarantee compatibility. I will not confuse nostalgia with a future.
Part of this company came from losing us and needing somewhere to put that pain.
It came from accepting what loss exposed, then building without asking the past for permission.
Do you feel nothing seeing me here, knowing I finally understand what I abandoned?
I feel gratitude without a reason to return. Recognition arrived after I stopped requiring it.
You could at least admit I underestimated you, and that leaving was the wrong decision.
Your estimate is no longer my measurement. I can respect regret without surrendering judgment. Trading begins in 3 minutes, and the employees are waiting for you to lead them. Then we keep the promise exactly as written: shared ownership, honest reporting, and disciplined growth.
The press expects a dramatic bankruptcy comeback speech with you at the center.
They will receive an accurate company statement. This moment belongs to everyone who built it.
You are really leaving our story out entirely, even though it shaped everything afterward.
This moment belongs to the people who stayed for the work. I will not use you as a villain. The employee equity pool is officially active, and the first vesting notices are ready. Good. Ownership should remember contribution before a public price changes anyone's priorities.
The opening indication is above the range, and demand is still rising before the first trade.
A first price is not a finished judgment. Tomorrow still requires the same operating discipline.
I thought you wanted me to regret leaving once everyone could see what you became.
I wanted to stop needing that regret. That freedom matters more than proving you wrong.
And now you have the company, the recognition, and everything you said you would build.
I have work worth continuing tomorrow. Achievement is useful only while responsibility survives it. The company is public, Owen. 5 years ago, this sounded completely impossible. We kept our standards long enough to arrive. Now we protect them when success becomes louder.